Sometimes while I'm watching a movie, I'll go into almost a trance. The story has pulled me in. I'm fully invested in the filmmaker's vision. And then I'll snap to, come back from the dreamland and realize, oh yeah, I'm sitting on a couch. It's almost like good movie tunnel vision. I just get so focused in, tell me more, show me more, that I temporarily forget that the periphery even exists. And that is exactly how Dunkirk makes me feel. Welcome to Movie Monday! I'm HelloGreedo, and this is a new series for the channel. Every Monday I'll talk about a different movie, new or old, good or bad, and for this Monday, I'll be talking about Dunkirk. It's been a long time since I watched a movie, and then as soon as it ended, turn to whoever I was watching it with and say, I loved it. And I did. I loved it. Instant connection, instant adoration. From the very beginning to the very end, I was hooked, I was engaged. It's definitely a Christopher Nolan film. You don't even need to look at the credits to feel it. Enormous grand shots using an IMAX camera, some of the most tense sound design I've ever heard in a film using Shepard tones, a unique and interesting way to use time in the narrative. The lack of dialogue through most of the film added to the tension. It was the movie manifestation of the feeling where you're so scared you can't speak. And Dunkirk is different. It is different. If you're going in expecting and wanting a war movie that's comparable to other war movies you've seen, you might not like it. It's almost like a picture book. The visuals tell the story. I can envision a version of the script where it was dialogue heavy because characters are always interacting with one another, right? But what they have to say is far less important than what they are going through or what they are seeing. It's almost like when someone tells a story about someone else's story, you don't really know the intricacies, you don't really know exactly what was said, so you give a broad account of someone else's account. Does that make sense? It makes sense to me. So overall, the lack of dialogue, especially during certain storylines, only adds to the tension, adds to the dread, adds to the heroism, to the struggle. For the most part, the only time we ever saw German forces was during the dogfighting scenes. During all the other scenes, the German forces were almost invisible to the audience. They were the monster under the bed. They were the shark in the water. You know they're there. You know they're creeping in. The film shows the bombs falling, the torpedoes impacting the incoming gunfire, but where they came from, the source of the violence, is rarely shown. It adds to the fright. It puts the audience on the beach, in the boat, wondering where the hell did that just come from? It adds to the feeling of isolation and being the fish in the barrel. The narrative is told in 3 timelines, all spliced together. The narrative with the pilots is 1 hour, the narrative with the civilian boat is 1 day, and the narrative on the beach is 1 week. In Nolan fashion, time is a character in itself, and the way the film used time was brilliant. By utilizing time the way it did, it was able to keep the film focused without having sections bogged down or an exhausting runtime. The use of time and how it showed the struggle from different perspectives was one of the best aspects of the movie. Time was the wall that separated each narrative, and in the end, they came together heroically. I could not get enough of the pilot timeline with Tom Hardy. It really made me want an entire Christopher Nolan movie about World War II dogfights, because the story was like utilitarian in nature. There was a job to do, get the job done. There wasn't much dialogue in terms of just conversation. They stuck to the books, they knew it had to be done. I loved it. When the film focused on the men on the beach, wanting so desperately to get to safety, it was an exercise in vulnerability. Vulnerable on the beach, pushed to the ocean, sitting ducks, fish in a barrel. Vulnerable on the ships, floating in the ocean, nowhere to go, just a huge target bobbing up and down, just waiting to be strafed or bombed. Trapped inside of a vessel, nowhere to go. Vulnerability was the thread. And when the film focused on the civilian boats, we were given a more heartfelt side of the conflict. A man too old to fight, kids too young to fight, wanting to do their part, wanting to help. Dunkirk is one of the best movies I've seen in a very long time. One of my favorite movies I've ever seen. I was never disengaged, I was always on the edge of my seat, it was visually stunning, and the sound design, along with a mind-bendy score from Hans Zimmer, turned the tension dial to 100 and never let up. After I watched the movie, I immediately ordered the 4K Blu-ray, and it should be coming later this week. I cannot wait to watch it again. As an American, I'm not too familiar with the history of this particular event, I'll fully admit that. I'm relatively knowledgeable about World War II as a whole, but I fully admit that where my knowledge lacks is outside of the United States' involvement. Dunkirk has made me go down a rabbit hole. If you've seen Dunkirk, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you have not seen Dunkirk, I cannot recommend it enough. HelloGreedo, out.